We have so many stories in our lives, but our stories are not always heard. On the Hear My True Story podcast, we tell our own true stories.
Before the white car parked, our head teacher had scattered. Looking at him, I could only see his tie that was flying backwards, waving at us, and he disappeared in thin air.
I want to share my life story. I want to share my voice with the people because I know that just a small joke I can tell through this podcast, it will make someone smile.
When you ask me what I fear most in life, I would definitely respond to you and say it's fear itself.
We are fighting for togetherness. We are fighting for equal rights. We are fighting to end injustice.
You don't have to be a storyteller or writer because, guess what? Life writes the best stories.
Hear my true story.
This is your favorite time of the week with your number one podcast.
Hear my true story.
Hello, and welcome to a new episode of Hear My True Story. Today we have something very special for you, a call from our friend Balikowa, who's here to share his experiences in Germany firsthand. Balikowa came to Germany a few years ago and has been navigating the challenge of living here, from learning the language to adapting to the work and vacation culture. So sit back, relax, and let Balikowa's words entertain and inspire you. Hello, and welcome to Hear My True Story. Today, Balikowa is calling in with a story about a fellow immigrant from Africa. They both came to Germany from the same continent, but their journeys couldn't be more different. Balikowa, who came as a refugee, learned early on that language would be the foundation of his new life here. His friend, however, came as a student and didn't focus on German. Now, he's discovering just how crucial the language really is. Let's listen in. Hello, Balikowa.
Hello, Nakato. Thank you for having me again.
It's great to have you back on the show. I hear you have an interesting story to share today.
Yes, exactly. You see, before I start, I want to say thank you. Today, I want to share a story that made me realize just how important learning the language has been for me. I have a friend here in Germany. He's also from Africa, but he came as a student. His whole program was in English, so he did not think learning German was necessary.
And that worked out for him during his studies?
Yes, it did. It worked fine while he was studying. But since he finished, he's been facing so many challenges. One thing I noticed is that he has trouble with basic things. Things like making appointment with the doctor, things like finding the connections with the train or with the bus. For a while, he did not even know how to call the Ausländer Behörde, the foreign office. He told me he could not even understand the letters that came to the mailbox. So he had just ignored them, hoping they were not so important. But in Germany, when you ignore letters, it is a big problem. And now he's understand that he needs to learn the language.
That must be really frustrating for him. These are things we all need to be able to do.
Definitely. You see, I see him struggling. He's limited to only English friends because he cannot even communicate with others in German. And in Nakato, he missed out a big opportunity recently. He was walking in his neighborhood and he saw a printer and a television set by the sidewalk. There was a sign on it that said Verschenken, meaning give away for free. He did not understand the word and thought they were just for trash, or maybe someone is moving from one apartment to another apartment.
Oh no. So what happened?
What happened? Well, he asked me about it later. And I told him, you know what, my brother? Verschenken means he could have taken them to his place for free. He went back immediately to pick the printer and the television set. But unfortunately, they were gone. They were taken already. Little things like this, knowing just a word or two, can make a big difference when you decide to live in Germany.
Wow, that really shows how language can open up even the small opportunities around us. It sounds like he's realizing the importance of it now.
He is. Yes, he is exactly. And I can understand his frustration because German isn't an easy language to learn. But I told him, look, without German, even small tasks become big obstacles. I remember when I first came here as a refugee, I had no choice but to learn the language. It's made a big difference for me. This is what I can say. Now I can do my own appointments. I can call my doctor and make appointments by myself. I understand my letters. When I get a letter from any office in Germany, I can understand it and I can then seek for advice or for solutions in case it needs me to solve a problem. And even I can manage all these bureaucratic things. You know, German is so bureaucratic. So I can manage all that without feeling lost, without feeling as a foreigner.
You make such a good point, Balikowa. Being able to navigate the system on your own must feel empowering.
It really does. That's the truth. It does. Language isn't just about talking. It is about independence. It's about freedom. It's about being able to do your things by yourself. When you know the language, you don't have to rely on someone else to translate every letter or call the doctor for you. You are in control. I see my friend struggling with these things, and I think he is realizing how much easier life could have been if he had taken language the first time when he moved to Germany.
That's such valuable insight, Balikowa. Sometimes we don't realize how important language is until we need it in those small, everyday moments.
Exactly. Nakato, you see, it is one thing to go through a program in English, but to live here in Germany, to work here in Germany, to really feel at home, German is the key. My friend is seeing that now. And honestly, I hope anyone listening who's in a similar situation sees it too. Language isn't just a skill. It is the foundation of building a life in a new country. Wherever you are living, learning the language is the foundation of everything when you decide to move to another country.
Thank you for sharing this, Balikowa. It's such an important message. And it's a reminder that we all have to take those extra steps to adapt and integrate. And for anyone listening, remember it's never too late to start learning.
Yes, that is true. And by the way, thank you, Nakato, for giving me the opportunity to share. My last word, any person moving to Germany, whether you're a skilled worker or maybe you are coming as a student, even though you came in as a refugee, learning German is the key in Germany. It is the foundation to everything. You like it or not, it is actually like learning how to eat bread. Period. And bye.
That was Balikowa, sharing his reflections on the importance of language for immigrants in Germany. His story reminds us that sometimes it's the smallest skills that make the biggest difference in feeling independent and empowered. Thank you for joining us here on Hear My True Story.
Thank you for listening to our podcast, Music by Edwin Matovo, hosted and produced by Otako. Subscribe to our podcast for more stories and visit us on our website, hearmytruestory.com, for more stories. All the links are listed in the show notes of this podcast.